"Hello," she said. "Is Polly at home?" He'd taken his foot off the spade to look at her, and with a quickened breath she thought that she hadn't realised how fair he was, his long hair bleached blonde by the summer sun, and tied at the back of his neck by a bootlace, and his eyes as blue as the sky. Yeah, I think so." He cleared his throat. "Just go on in." He indicated the house door, which was wide open. "I think they're all there." He chuckled, and she saw how his eyes danced. "Sometimes I lose count." He came towards her, carrying the spade. "I know you," he said hesitantly, and with what she thought was a shy smile. "But I forget your name." "Ellen," she said. "Ellen Snowdon." "Not Billy Snowdon's little sister? No, you can't be. Not that young Ben?" She wasn't sure whether or not he was teasing, or if he had her mixed up with one of her sisters. She'd often been with Billy when he and Harry had hailed each other, or met at harvest time when the whole village turned out to bring it home, the girls and women wearing their bonnets to keep the sun off their heads, and the men with their shirt sleeves rolled up to their elbows. She fingered the end of the thick brown braid which hung over one shoulder, and told him, "I'm not Ben anymore. I was 15 in May. I finished school in July, and I work at Hodge's farm." He continued to gaze at her, and then suddenly blinked. 15, eh? Well, good luck with your life, Ellen. The Hodges are good folk. So, are you planning on staying with them? Not spreading your wings and going to fly from village, are you?" Ellen looked back at him and moistened her lips with the tip of her tongue. "Not now, I'm not," she reflected thoughtfully. "Although I might have done before." She shook her head, and as she walked towards the door, she heard him begin to whistle a tune that was vaguely familiar. She'd heard it on a penny whistle. Irish, she thought it was, though she couldn't put a name to it. Harry had seen her soft brown eyes, her chestnut-coloured hair. The old song sprang immediately to mind. 15, eh? He'd said, tongue-tied himself for once. 15, the same age as his youngest sister Polly, and sister of his best friend Billy. He'd seen the shyness and the signs of burgeoning womanhood. He'd wait. He was 4 years older than her, the same age as Billy, and he'd waited until she was old enough before he asked if they could walk out together. She'd just turned 17, and she'd said shyly that he must ask her father and Mrs. Hodges, and wondered if he'd been counting the years. Mrs. Hodges said that Ellen was a good worker and she'd be sorry to lose her, and that cook was particularly put out, for she'd said Ellen had good cool hands for bread-making. She guessed, though, that her parents would be relieved to have the last of their daughters courting, for she was one of 8 girls and 2 boys. "Summer in water," her father had mumbled. "This village is awash wi' daughters." They'd begun their courtship along the quiet lanes of Hometon on Sundays, when they both had time off, and on one of those days he turned up early, driving a 2-seat trap pulled by a sturdy mare that his employer, Mr. Oswald, had lent him. Her father had watched from their cottage window and asked Billy if she would be safe with him. Billy had looked out and nodded. "Every hair on her head, Da." They'd driven down the long road to the peninsula of Spurn Point, where the sea lashed against the prominent finger of land, and the estuary surged on the other side. And here it was that Harry told her about the tune he'd whistled on that first day, and again on this. "It's an Irish folk song, I think," he said when she asked him. "At least I first heard it sung by a gang of Irish labourers who came to help with harvest one year." He'd taken hold of her hand as they stood watching the seabirds soaring above them, the first physical contact they'd had.